Om. Namaste. Welcome everyone. I'll give you guys a second to get situated if this is a replay or for people to join the room. I have not been on the Eternal Satsang page in a very long time, and I felt today would be a good day to start doing videos again on this page. And I'm going to start doing more videos on discussions. I want to interact with you guys. I want to understand where you guys really are at, so we can all help one another. We can all really grow together. I know there's days where I'm not feeling all that great, and when people reach out to me and understand what I'm going through, it really enlightens me and makes me see things at a different perspective. So I felt like what not a better way to do that but online. And the last couple days I've had this revelation that was downloaded to me about how there's two plays going on in our heads, in our being at all times when we're asleep. It's this fight between the voice that is instigating us and then the struggle of whether or not we are being instigated by that voice. So there's this play, this push and pull that we are constantly experiencing within. And you could say that the ego is playing both parts. The ego is playing both the instigator and the instigated. We believe that we are the voice that is speaking to us in our head. And we also believe we are the one reacting to that voice. But I'm here to remind you that you are neither. That you are the seeing of the two. That you have the ability to observe all that comes and goes, and yet you are unaffected. If you really think about it, when you point at me, when you say me or I, you're pointing at the same source that you've been pointing at since the day you were born, since the day that you understood that you exist, that you are here, that I am. And this I am is deeper than just a human form. We believe when we say I am that it is the person we're talking about. But the deeper you go, you start to see that the I am is not just in your form. The I am is the very power of the now. It is the very existence that we live in. It is the conscious and the subconscious. It's the energy that keeps your heart flowing and beating. It keeps the sun shining. It's the ultimate source of all. It is the mainframe of this reality. And we have the ability to shapeshift from the form that we believe we are to this formless scene, which is the mainframe. We can ascend to such a level where we drop our identities, our problems, our challenges, and we merge with the great I am, the place where things are always becoming, but yet it is always being, it is always fresh. It is never pulled or pushed by anything in the world, yet it is creating everything in the world. There is a higher self that has that ability, that seeing, that you can access. But the only thing that's holding you from accessing that is the problems that you hold on to, the fears that you think are so important in your life. And these fears keep playing themselves out every day, every scenario, every time you are faced with a circumstance, these energies come up. And a lot of us don't even realize that they're coming up from our past traumas, and they keep us playing this Groundhog Day type of life. The only way to break free of that is to see it for what it is, and to start understanding that there is no good and bad. That if anything, good and bad are just like temperatures on a temperature gauge. It's all the same type of measurement. It's all coming from the same source. God doesn't want to punish us. God is not judgmental. He doesn't see us as good or bad. He's like a true father. He sees his spoiled kid and his blessed kid one and the same, because they both come from him. so he doesn't treat one or the other differently. A true unconditional father will treat all his kids the same, and that is how God sees us. He sees us all, even the people that are out there creating horrible disturbances and hateful crimes. He understands that those kids are just lost, that they're just broken, that they have lost their path, that they can also find their way back home. I mean, yeah, they're farther out than some of the ones that are seeking God, but even those people can be forgiven. Even those people are playing a part in this reality that we call life, and they are being accounted for. We wouldn't know what love was if we didn't know what hatred was. We wouldn't know what light was if we didn't know what dark was. So you need both aspects. You need both dualities. And it's painful when we're in the duality of going up and down, roller coaster through life, not knowing what the next day will bring. But that's only because we're trying to control the moment. If we stop trying to control the moment and instead learn to see it as cycles, see it as day and night, light and dark. Trying to push away negativity is as silly as trying to push away the moon from coming out every night. Just like trying to be positive all the time is just as silly as trying to keep the sun in the sky 24 hours a day. It's an imbalance. It's not how life works. We need both. We need a time of rest. We need a time of activity. We need a time of introspection. We need a time of expression. We need a time of falling on our face, and we need a time of transcending what made us feel weak. These are all tools that we can use to better get to know what we are, to better understand what this all truly is. So that's all I have for you guys today. It's my first day back, so figured I'd keep it short. That's all that's coming through. I just wanted to share my thoughts on the egoic mind and how it deceives us, because it can be very deceiving to us, and we don't even realize that the voice that's been in our head our whole lives, the voice that we thought was us, is actually deceiving us. That once you start questioning, well, what really am I? What was here before this body? What will be here after? And do I have access to that? You're cutting off the energy from the egoic mind. You're cutting off its landlines. You're not letting it speak to you and influence you like you have in the past. So it's going to get nasty. It's going to find other ways, other tactics to get your attention, because our egoic mind will die with this body. But our true mind, our cosmic mind, the mind in which all minds are being given the ability to exist and be created in, that mind is eternal. And we are that mind before we are this mind. We just have forgotten this, and by forgetting it, we have downgraded, we have fallen, as in the Bible they speak of. We are natural angels of light, but we have fallen into form. We have forgotten our true nature, and we have forgotten how to fly. We have forgotten how to just be open with all that is and just radiate what we are. These are all metaphors for what an angel is. And instead we have become man, we have fallen, we have entered the pits of hell. We are now fighting and feeling desperate and wishing things to be different, but it doesn't have to be that way. We just have to let go of the ignorance, let go of the pride, let go of the stresses, the shortcomings, and just rest in the heart of what created us, in our source. We all have that I am. That is the way home. It's so simple that people miss it. We think that it needs to be this elaborate way to find God, that God is out there and we must go and find him. But in all reality, what you are looking for is where you're looking from. It's so simple. When we start to see that the perceiving that's perceiving through our eyes is nothing, that it has no quality other than love, and we give ourselves our own qualities by what we believe in, by what we think we are, by what we fear. These are what creates our temporary suit in this realm. But we can transcend all that. We can be of this world but not of it. These are all gems, hidden gems given to us from all these masters, from all these religions, to try to lead us back home. They're all pointing at the door to our heart. And if we don't take the time to really sit with this and really do the work, if you even want to call it work, nobody's going to do it for you. And you're going to live your whole life chasing a carrot, and then you're going to be on your deathbed. And of course, God is loving enough to give us a way out even when we're about to die. That is our way out. That is when we realize that we are in a dream. That it's kind of like we wake up out of a dream in the morning and realize that it's not real. This is a very vivid dream that we live in. This is Maya. This is the great divine play. These are all, I love it because these are all cultures that are saying the same thing. The Mayans, they gave themselves the name of I'm not real. I'm an illusion, because Maya means illusion. So from the get-go, they knew that they weren't real, and they knew that they were. The Incas said that they were animated earth, that they were temporary dirt and soil that was lifted and created into something, and one day will fall. You know, these are all ways that the cosmic mother, the cosmic father, is speaking to us through symbols, through code, through synchronicities. But you have to have an aware enough mind. You have to uncloud yourself to a level where you start to see the hidden language within all of creation. And it's beautiful to live from there, because then it's like, no matter what you look at, you see God. It's harder to see God when, you know, your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or your boyfriend are fighting with you, and it's hard to see God in them at that moment. But you'll get better and better as the time goes if you truly hold true to wanting to see what life really is, wanting to experience through the eyes of God, through the eyes of the Holy Spirit. Hey Christina, trying to stay positive all the time is exhausting. Not that I don't want to be. Being positive is not the way out, guys. I thought for a long time being positive was the end-all be-all. Just always look like I'm smiling and having a good time. And I feel like that's a certain step we must take into the evolution of awakening. But the problem with always trying to be positive is now your ego knows that all it has to do is slip in something negative around the corner in your reality, and you're going to lose it. So it uses the fact that you need to be positive all the time as a weakness. So the whole idea is to not grasp to anything, because if you don't grasp to nothing, then your egoic mind, the devil, the demons that you're afraid of, that you carry, can't entice you. If you want things to always be positive, or you never want things to be negative, then it's going to use those things. You're only as strong as the weakest chain that you have in your chain. So any trauma that you have, any fears, any insecurities are going to have to get transcended. There's no way around it. So to try to beat around the bush and just wait for a better day to do it is only prolonging your awakening. It's better to meet it head on, to say to your mind, show me what you got, give me your best punch, you know? Our mind only has power because we give it power. It's like a dog. If a dog sees you and you're afraid of the dog and you start running, the dog is going to chase you, because it's like on cue. It knows, okay, either they're afraid of me or they're going somewhere, and you're going to think, oh my God, this dog is going to bite me. Meanwhile, we created the opportunity for the dog to chase us. Just like if your mind puts a thought in your head that triggers you, and you let it trigger you, you have just let the salesman into your door. And he's a really good salesman. So once he's inside your house, forget it. It's really hard to get him back out. So what I'm trying to do in my life, and what I encourage everyone to do in their life, is to catch those moments when those triggers come in, when the ego uses your weaknesses against you, and take a step back and observe and see that, whoa, wait a minute. The mind is coming in trying to trigger me, and then it's also trying to convince me that I am something that can be triggered. And by you taking that mask, by you putting that mask that the mind is handing you so that it can talk to itself and convince you that you are a temporary being, which is scary, which is why we are afraid of so much, that is where we become enslaved. To break out of that, we have to just see it for what it is. See it from the mountaintop. Understand that, wow, the mind is just a mechanism that's functioning within me, and it works almost to see how aware I am. If I'm really aware, I can catch every time that the mind tries to trigger me. If I'm very unaware, if I'm very caught in the motions of the material world, the physical world, then there's no gap for me to even acknowledge that the mind is a different mechanism than me. Hey, Patty. Alright, guys. Much love. If you guys didn't watch the whole video, please replay it, like it, comment on it, and I will be back shortly. Peace.